Hey everybody, this is CJ, aka the White Sheep. I'm here with, of course, as always, Hybrid, and also Nick and Zach. Say hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
See, this proves I wasn't just going
Hi.
ventriloquist the whole thing.
I had to wait until everybody else said hello because I was like,
You
wait,
just had to be different, didn't you?
hey guys, this is Hybrid,
Okay, fine.
and I'm here joined by White Sheep.
We're restarting the episode. No, okay, so this is actually something we've wanted to get out for a couple weeks. I think we mentioned this a lot in the first new cast episode of the discussion. That this was going to be the next one, and of course you may have noticed Antoine is not with us. Oscar is not with us. Antoine had another thing. We weren't able to get a hold of Oscar. I can't blame him. The time difference is brutal in
Yeah.
some cases, especially when we're recording at night. Oscar's from Sweden, but this is a very I would say good, but we've only just started. I feel like it's going to be a good episode. We got a good show for you today. Batman 75. Batman probably, I would say, the most iconic character in all of comic history. Is that? Oh, come on.
No.
That's
I'd say if you're
fair.
talking about iconic character in comic book history, I'd say Superman.
I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of
If
facts.
you,
I'll make
if
my
you-
case throughout the course of this
Okay,
I
podcast
think
go ahead.
Batman's gotten bigger than Superman
He
now.
has. He has.
well, I'm thinking like iconic, like symbol, like hero wise. Like if you go to a random person and you show them the symbol of a character, they're gonna point out Superman before they point out
Probably
Batman.
still Batman.
Yeah.
That's just
The
my.
Well,
I'm glad
well,
we've got a good little division here. So this is
Well, I'm
clearly
saying
gonna be
like
a good
in a
episode.
worldwide view, more people around the world know who Superman is than Batman. I'm not saying that they like Superman more than Batman, but they know him better.
Yeah.
It's just like more people know Jesus than like they know like other deities.
Josh, I would say watch
In
out
some
here. You
places.
have a shaky.
No,
track
I'm
record
saying
as it
like
is, from a
you
race
show someone.
standpoint.
I'm saying, I'm saying that you show someone Jesus across the world, they're gonna point out Jesus. Like that doesn't mean they obviously like they're Christian or anything, but I'm saying like they recognize that more than like
Yeah, the
know?
Superman S is
This-
very
This
recognizable.
portion of our show brought to you by Fox
So.
News.
And
Let's-
trains, because we love trains.
Yes.
I like
And also
trains.
Trains are our primary sponsor.
Yeah, trains might cameo. Thomas the Choo Choo Train might cameo in this episode.
Thank you.
Beware.
I like trains.
Clearly, there's some division based on, my statement already. Batman is an iconic character. Okay, top two?
Top two, what?
Most iconic characters.
Yeah,
I'd
Batman
say-
and Superman.
Yeah,
Good, there
I
we
do-
go.
I
That's
do
what I
hate,
should've started
though-
with.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
I
have to
do
say
hate
Superman.
though how DC has treated Batman's 75th anniversary because it makes Superman's 75th anniversary look like shit.
Yes. Hey, well, okay,
Because,
they
like-
Well,
understand.
I'm not complaining. I'm a Bat fan. So.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm not complaining about that, but it's like I feel like it's kind of rude to like because all it did for Superman 75th anniversary, I can't remember if Man of Steel came out last year. It's all a blur to me. But I guess Man of Steel. But
yeah, I don't know if that's
also,
like a
they
good
had-
point.
they had like a minute and a half short, and that was it
Yeah.
Well,
for
I
Superman's
love that
anniversary.
short. That short was
Yeah,
great.
it was a great short, but that's all they did for it.
I'm gonna cut
that
you
was
off there,
it.
Josh.
And
you know what
then
else?
and then for Batman, they did everything under the freaking bat signal for him,
Hey,
and they
guys.
even changed. DC even changed their logo thing on all their social media sites to be Batman.
you know what else Josh hates? Babies
Hmm.
and elderly people.
And
If you wanna
else,
jump on that in the comments. He hates babies and the elderly,
yeah, according to
Um,
the internet, I hate everything.
and he's taking
So-
your jobs as well. But the
Oh, what? I'm not.
But the let's dive right in here. Nick, you had the idea of progressing era by era, and so you are the resident Bat fan, Bat super fan.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna start with a question that you actually suggested. Let's say favorite Bat moment through history, real quick. Let's do that to start things off. That's tough. I'm putting you on the spot. I know. It's hard to narrow it down.
There's a moment in The Dark Knight Returns where there's like an inner monologue with Carrie Kelly, and like he's just given this big speech. I don't know if you guys remember, like at the end with his whole gang, and he's on like a horseback and all that. Like,
Yes.
Like he's given that speech and all that, and then it's just like there's a moment where he's all by himself, and it's like she just says like he sags in his saddle like an old man, and then like he turns to her and like straightens up and grins, and it's like he can't die. It's just like that moment is just like
Believe it or not, I
it
feel like
really
that's
shows.
I feel like that's something that they touched on in the Nolan movies as much crap as they get is the fact that Batman, if you become a symbol of something greater, in
People will follow you.
as Liam Neeson said.
Yeah.
But and that's a good thing. That can be interpreted very meta in the 75th anniversary with Batman being a symbol for so much, even in our world today. How about you, Zach? Let's
Which is
go with
surprising.
your favorite Bat moment, and I know yours is on in a different sort of vein, since this is throughout all history and in all mediums.
Okay, so my favorite moment would be specifically there's this episode in season 2 of Justice League called Epilogue. It's technically sort of the final episode of the Batman Beyond series, but it kind of continues off of that. There's this moment of a flashback with Batman being told by Amanda Waller he may have to kill Ace. So he goes to Ace, and he doesn't kill her. He just sits there with her until her time comes. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not much of a crying guy, but I cried through that whole thing.
I remember
that is my definitive Batman moment.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's one of the things that me and one of my good friends have in common is a love for the '90s cartoons, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, all that animated stuff, and we watch that scene on occasion just to watch it, and it is actually really, really fantastically well done. So Nick, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that it's like such a, I think that they portray Batman as like this dark, brooding character that shows no emotion, but he does really have like this heart of gold that he never really shows to people. I mean, it's great. This is a great episode. So
yeah, that gets back to the whole sort of almost the reason why he's doing it is to improve the city, improve the world, and make it a better place. And so Josh, let us go to your favorite moment.
Okay.
If Josh is okay, there he is.
Yeah. First, I just want to say it's actually really surprising how much of a symbol, in my opinion, that Batman has grown, considering it's a bat.
Yes.
And usually bats, they're not the most popular symbols in many cultures, just like ravens and stuff like that. So I'm really surprised Batman's grown so much, which is great for the character.
I guess they're
I'd say
flying vermin by a lot.
Yeah, I think we talked about this earlier, and I'm still tied between the two I mentioned previously, which is when Batman was fighting the mutant leader in Dark Knight Returns, and he does the whole, like, I'm the surgeon, this is the operating table quote. So I just thought that was really badass of Batman, a badass moment for him. And I think probably my other favorite, like, definitive Batman moment is when he's just like, I think he was like, what should I do? And he was looking at a painting of his father before he became Batman. And, oh god, this is train.
Why are you not just outside your house?
Ow.
I know where you are. Why are you where you are?
Okay, so the train has chosen its definitive Batman moment, I guess.
Yeah.
But,
He's trying to speak with us.
The audience is now deaf.
Yeah.
But my other one was when before he becomes Batman, he's trying to figure out what to do, and he's sitting on that chair. He's just staring at the painting of his family, specifically his father, and he's like, "What should I do?" And then the bat crashes through the window. To me, that will always be an iconic Batman scene that I hope with the new Batman Ben Affleck movie, if they do a flashback to how he became Batman, like let's say he's talking about it, and they just do like brief glimpses, like let's say parents died, brief thing of him going out training, and then like him sitting there. Like I think like one of those should be him sitting there, and the bat just flying through, because that's such.
Yeah, that's
to me it's a powerful scene, really, because I don't know, it's just something about it. It's just like how, for Superman, or not for Superman, it's just like for, Spider-Man, when, he finds Uncle Ben's killer, and, he realizes who it is. That, to me, it's kind of like, those parallel each other, and, like, just...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was gonna say
Something
I like
about those moments.
You're determined to get Spider-Man in this discussion at any cost.
Maybe
No,
our
but
thinks
that
Spider-Man is God, apparently.
no, but that is a great moment from year one where he's like sitting in the study and he's bleeding to death and he's like, if I ring the bell, Alfred will come and he can stop the bleeding, but I have to know like what should I do?
Yeah.
And it's like in that moment he knows exactly what he has to do.
You must become Dracula.
Bleh.
Morbius. But no.
No Morbius.
No. I was just gonna say that. No. My favorite moment we talked about this, before. There are a ton of good ones, especially throughout the animated series. Lots of good ones, and even through the Golden and the Silver Age, which we now look at those as pretty hokey, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But for me, when it comes down to it, I love Nightfall. Or not Nightfall. I love Nightfall, but that is not where I was going. I have no idea why I just said that, but I love the Killing Joke, and especially my definitive Batman moment when you look at, in terms of impactful, in terms of the character, the last page, the very last, or not necessarily the last page, the last two pages, where Joker, after having committed this atrocious crime, basically, multiple atrocious crimes, really. And he's pushed Batman sort of to the limit. And, Nick, when we were discussing this, you mentioned even, Gordon was like, no, even then, after all that he had been through, it was like, you got to do it by the books. You can't let him win. You can't give him what he wants.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's more than that. It's just the last page, the joke that Joker tells being, pretty much an allusion to their relationship. And moreover, the fact that Batman laughs at the joke, just how much it means to everything. Just the fact, one, it's of course started the whole trend of even though it technically wasn't canon, really, it started the whole Barbara is crippled and is now Oracle. It started that, and that was later adopted, but it also all comics after that adopted the fact that Joker, he's making a point, and it's a fairly good point, that Batman must be just as crazy to to be out there every night fighting these villains and trying to fight this corruption when he knows he's never really gonna win. You can only stop the bleeding, and he's got to be just as crazy as Joker to be doing that time and time again. But anybody want to chime in with the definition of insanity? Josh? Anybody? Did we lose him?
There's this one quote that
I don't want to talk because the train might come back.
It's hunting you down.
Yes, I like trains.
I think like it speaks volumes about the Joker's mission, really. Like against Batman, he always tries to prove to Batman that, like, or to really anyone, but especially Batman, that he can be bought or leveraged in some way, that his principles and his morals will break, and he'll go over that line. Like, he wants to show that everyone has a price and no one is like pure.
Absolutely.
That's
Batman, and that leads us very well into, I guess, the next topic of discussion, the next question. Batman villains. He's got so many iconic ones. I would say more people. I would say, but I think it's pretty common knowledge. More people know Batman villains than Superman villains. They know more Batman villains than Spider-Man.
Yeah,
villains,
best rogues gallery in comics.
Absolutely.
I think.
And you could claim that part of that's due to the sheer amount of good writers that have written Batman over the years. And that's another topic for later in the discussion. But
yeah.
Really, I guess we'll start with Nick. Who is your favorite Batman villain and why?
Well, I don't want to say the Joker because that's such an obvious choice, but
Oh boy.
I think I'd probably go with Two-Face because I think we can all relate to him a lot,
Absolutely.
And he's such a complex character that half the time he's compelling and compassionate, and the other half he's crazy and as dangerous as a human can be, really. I mean, he leaves it all up to the coin, really, to determine what he's going to do, so.
I agree with that. He's definitely one of the many iconic villains, and he definitely has a lot to. It's the opposite of a Phoenix story. It's the never-ending spiral downwards. and that's been presented a lot in a lot of different movies,
Yeah.
and animated stuff. And don't get me started on Tommy Lee Jones, but
Oh boy.
all right,
No.
Zach. Well, actually, Nick,
Yeah.
you're gonna
Oh.
Oh, what was it?
any final thought? I think you started to say something.
Oh, it was just okay. Yeah. Well, one more final thought, I guess, is that like it's funny how in Dark Knight Returns, like Miller, he reconstructs Two-Face, like he makes him all like one. His face is normal again, but yet he still is taken over by his dark side. Like he still can't believe that he's fixed. They'll never be able to fix him psychologically, basically.
Absolutely, his psychologically,
It's
kind
still
of.
split.
Yeah, he's got a. I was gonna say a dual personality.
Yeah,
but,
dissociative disorder.
Hold on.
Yeah.
But all right, Zach. Let's go ahead to you. Who was
Okay.
your favorites?
All right, mine might be a little more obvious. I'm just gonna come out with it. It's the Joker.
Absolutely, that's good.
And
I don't know if Josh is gonna say Joker, and I am probably not gonna say Joker. So
okay, and the reason for this is because I've always had these two favorite villains, Green Goblin and Joker, mostly because they're very similar. But with Joker, he is essentially sort of the white to Batman's black, the sort of yin to his yang. You mean you can't have one without the other? I mean, that's always been the thing for me for Joker.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's like we were just discussing with Joker. He's always pushing Batman to those moral limits. Uh, Josh, actually, you know what? Let's stay on the topic of the Joker for a little bit longer.
What? What
No,
about the Joker?
You're good. Do you have any thoughts to add on the Joker?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't.
Nope. Okay.
Well, he's the obvious answer to Batman, I think. The Joker is like Batman. He uses morals and reason and logic, and the Joker is just completely insane.
No, he does whatever he wants. And that's in that respect. Two-Face is also very much a foil to Batman's reason and logic, where he's chance, and we see sort of the destructive nature of that. If that makes any sense, but I don't know. It's one of those things where you don't. I mean, well, a lot of people like the Joker, and if you were going to try to be, super hipster and choose against the Joker, it's one of those things where it's tough to do that, just because Joker, he's been, the fixture since he's this agent of chaos. He's been this fixture, and he's had so many good people write him. Alan Moore, even though no comic book fan should look kindly on Alan Moore
Anymore.
in light of his recent comments. Appreciate his work, don't appreciate the man. Hate the player, don't hate the game. But he's had just about, I was gonna say just about every big name, but that's unrealistic. But he probably has had the most, bar none, talent working on his character and trying to give their spin and their interpretation throughout Batman's history.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's probably a big reason why he is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
As actually, we're gonna go to. Josh, are you settled? Have you either hopped on the train
What?
or hopped off?
I'm so tired right now. I don't know.
So we're gonna be quick then. What's your favorite Batman villain?
What's a train?
What's
My favorite Batman villain. I'd say. Who introduced Damian Wayne?
Grant Morrison.
It's Grant Morrison.
Not bad.
But actual character villain, I'd say I would like to choose Two-Face, because I think he's the most tragic for Batman, really.
Absolutely.
In terms of, he's basically what Batman's always wanted to be, almost, like, in the sense where Harvey Dent, like, they really did push this in The Dark Knight, which I did like. He's basically, he can save the city, like, what Batman wants to do. He can do everything Batman wants to do without having to be, like, in the shadows. But then, he has that fall, he becomes Two-Face, and I just think for Batman that was so tragic,
Because it's funny you mentioned The Dark Knight, because he also, the whole he was like, I might not have to be Batman anymore because Harvey's here and he's cleaning up the streets, and then
Mm.
that's Joker
Like, yeah, like to a
putting a
degree,
stop
I
to
like
all
to
that.
think of Two-Face as the combination of Batman and the Joker.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good one. I mean, because he is a good halfway point because he's not completely crazy and he's not well he is crazy but he's not just the destructive random chaos the Joker is. He is, how would I put this? Sort of he's the destructiveness of chance, but he's sort of, I guess he's a nice halfway point because it's not like random, or it is random, but it's not just anarchy, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
and we could this is such a big topic. We could completely just talk about this for days. So I'll be quick with mine because we don't have days to talk about this. Partially because that would take a long time to render, but
Yes.
my favorite villain. I would have said the Joker probably a couple years ago. I would have said the Joker. I like Two-Face, but I've never really been on the Two-Face bandwagon. For me, it's Bane. Um, a lot of times because I feel like he's the most misunderstood character in Batman's Rogues Gallery. Because if you read things like, actually, because I say this partially because, well, he's my favorite character, but also partially because I'm reminded there was a comment I think earlier today on one of the videos where it's like, the comics have shown time and time again that Bane is, or it's been shown repeatedly that Bane is dumb, or
I'm
he's
so
he's
tired
dumb
of
when he
those
takes
guys.
like venom. I'm tired of him too because it's completely wrong. He's not an idiot at all. He is. I mean, people might get that idea from Batman and Robin as much as they shouldn't, and they might. To be fair, he hasn't done much. He hasn't been done much justice recently. But when he was introduced, and when Nightfall happened, and Nightfall was probably my favorite, uh, for lack of a better term, I guess series story arc. Um, that's Bane at his finest because he is. To me, he other than like with Joker pushing his buttons morally, Bane is he's not he's close
Bane's his Venom.
pretty much. He's close to as smart as he is in intelligence, which a lot of people actually probably don't know is how smart Bane is.
We
Uh,
did a character bios on Bane, just
we
saying.
did go check it out. But he's also he's super strong. He's more than a match physically, but intelligence wise, he's also incredibly smart. And Nightfall is a good example of another way you can break Batman. Like we've seen, the Killing Joke is one way I guess you break Batman, but it's
We
just the
should
other.
talk about that.
We will in a little bit, I'm sure, but
Because he
Bane
should be, like, falling apart.
pretty much, and I think we're gonna progress through the eras in a little bit here, but Bane is just my favorite because he's the most under. It sounds kind of hipster. It's like I like him because he's not cool, but I like him because he's misunderstood. Really, he's like. Actually, I don't really have a good comparison for it, but he is. It's like if you wrote him the way that Joker gets written, and if you gave him that talent and that time and that exposure, I feel like Bane would probably be a very popular villain. But as it is, I'm pissed off that people know. I like Tom Hardy, but I'm pissed off that that's the only way that people know Bane.
Ugh.
So
Amen.
yes, glorified henchman that he was. What's next?
You guys want to talk about that, though? The Nolan version of the characters?
We're gonna get to that in a little bit when we talk about I guess how Batman translates onto the small screen and the big screen, etc., etc. Throughout the ages. But let's go through a little bit of Batman's history first. I'm gonna let Nick, if you're cool, I'm gonna let you take this away with the importance of the Silver and Golden Age to Batman as he is today.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like from Batman's first appearance and all that, like Detective Comics, like he's a pretty dark character, pretty serious. I think that's always how they intended him to be, and then progressing on through the 60s and stuff. They had the Batman 66 with Adam West and all that. Like, it's a completely different take on the character. It's like way out there, but still rings true, I think, in some people's minds. and they can appreciate it for what it was. So, what are you guys' thoughts on like the Batman 66 and all that kind of stuff?
I haven't read it, so I can't really comment on it. But
Yeah.
I think we can all agree. All agree. So all agree that was the most groovy Batman, and those dance moves are unparalleled. Like, people say he's the greatest martial artist in the world for DC Comics. I disagree. I say he's the best dancer for DC Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't
I
read a
think
lot of
stuff-
Batman. Oh, okay, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say stuff like Batman 66. It just proves how much the character is influenced by the decade he's in.
Absolutely.
Like the 50s and 60s, you got more like hammy and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think the importance is, especially the importance of the Golden Age, because Nick brought it up. We're seeing a lot of, I guess, remastering might be the best way to put it, but he's returning to his roots in terms of who the character is. Because Batman, when he started out, the Golden Age is where we first see Batman as a vigilante that's being hunted by the police, and that doesn't reemerge until year one. And you get a sense that he's this dark character. He's not. Well, I mean, he's based off a bat, for heaven's sakes, and then we go from that to Silver Age, and okay, Golden Age had its moments, like the Rainbow Batman story. Was pretty surreal. In the way the whole him and Robin thing was treated in the GoldenAge is kind of weird, but then we get to the Silver Age, and I think it's more of a reflection.
The first Robin costume.
Yes. Oh no. No, but yeah, I was about to make a joke, Josh, that would have gotten us so much more hate.
All right, go
I
ahead.
refuse to make it. No, you're doing
Well,
enough
tell
for
me
us.
then. I'll say it.
The
internet hates me already. They can't hate me more.
They actually can, but I'll text you it afterwards. But yeah, sorry guys, I led
right.
you on there. I think it's more Batman 66 and that whole Silver Age deal is more a reflection of the times than it is of of the character itself, I think. And it's funny that we bring up Batman 66 and Adam West in particular, because Adam West is on Family Guy as the mayor, fantastic character there. But I was watching Family Guy with my girlfriend just the other day, and I turned to her and I said, can you believe that was Batman? And she kind of looked at me real confused. She was like, what? And yeah,
Don't you just love moments like that?
I didn't hit her. No, I explained to her. I was like, yeah, he was Batman in the '60s in the first, Batman TV show, and she was kind of like, okay, and I was like, it's really. I told her straight up. I was like, it's exactly what you expect from his character on Family Guy. It is pretty much. It is what you were thinking it is, just in terms of the absurdity, but.
Right.
It's definitely important because we see, Batman 66 is out now. Nick, you love that.
Yeah, I mean they're printing out a monthly series that started back last, I think, November or something like that, November, October or something. But yeah, and it's just classic stories inspired by the TV series. And actually, Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman are going to be taking over and writing like a crossover book, Batman 66 meets the Green Hornet. So that'll be really cool. I can't wait for that. But,
just like that, I think they crossed over. I know in at least one episode of the original show.
Yeah, they did. So.
Let me.
Those...
And then we get through the Golden Age and the Silver Age, we get to the beginning
like the
of
70s, like.
Yeah, the 80s were the beginning of the whole gritty thing, I think, but the 70s also important.
Yeah, the 70s, like the Neil Adams style Batman, where like they started to go back to like the more realistic looking art styles and stuff like that,
Absolutely.
So.
Anybody else have any important thoughts on the 70s? Because the 70s, I mean, it's almost a time of transition, and that's not to say that it wasn't important in itself, but I think, at least in my mind, it sort of can get overshadowed at times because of, everybody just jumps from, everyone seems to jump from Silver Age to, like, Frank Miller, that's sorry, but it's definitely a time of transition. You see, you're waning off the 60s and the ridiculousness and the absurdity, and you're sort of starting to go with the more, a little more realism here and there.
Yeah,
you
Neil
know,
Adams, like Danny O'Neill, primarily drawn by Neil Adams and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
that's when they brought in Ra's al Ghul too. They introduced that character. So
it's it's actually it's interesting. Neil Adams, you mentioned Neil Adams. He was, him and Dennis O'Neill actually were, they were pretty much tasked with actually exactly that, taking the character from the whole campiness of it and returning to the grittiness that was. And so in a lot of ways, they set the stage for Frank Miller.
Yeah, wasn't there another guy who did that too? Julius, I can't remember his last name, but isn't it Schwartz?
Schwartz,
Yes.
yeah, Julie Schwartz, yeah, that guy, yeah. So
And they established I guess they reestablished sort of him as this brooding, not quite Christian Bale with the whole, I'm Batman, but at least, getting there sort of more dramatic, less, I was about to try to do an Adam West impression.
Well, that was the first era of Batman too, where they what was it? They like, kind of said that Batman exists in a larger world. You saw Batman go out of Gotham City, like he existed in more like a, bigger picture. So.
And well, in the early '80s too, before I guess the start of the whole modern thing, he actually quit the Justice League for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so it's sort of around that time, the turn of the decade there, we start to see it's definitely, like I said, a time of transition, because Dick Grayson starts becoming Nightwing around that time, and that's when we really dive into Frank Miller, and that's where the Batman that we know starts, at least in my mind.
Yeah, the modern age Batman, like 1985 onward, pretty much. Like.
Absolutely,
So.
It's in a lot of ways that Frank Miller. I mean, even though he was written early on, he was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. I think you could almost call Frank Miller like the father of Batman, because
he just
go ahead.
completely reinvented the character. Really, when Dark Knight Returns hit in 1986, it probably like, just everyone was at that time was just completely taken back from his interpretation of Batman. Like the storytelling and all that, like how real it felt and everything.
Absolutely, because it's out of and the reason that I think Batman is probably the most iconic character around is because you can see Batman, existing in your world. It's like you think, hey, this guy could be in your city, because it's feasible. It's feasible what Batman does. In terms of that, and that to me is why he's probably the biggest guy in terms of just realism and all that. We lost Josh. I'm going to try to get Josh back. Zach, why don't you give us your thoughts on? I know this is something you had expressed to me earlier. This is an area where you don't have a lot of expertise. However, you've seen a lot of this. Of course, I feel like most comic fans know the modern age of Batman. Which one would you say is probably more important to the character? Would you say Golden and Silver Age or modern?
I don't know. If I had to pick one, I would probably go with modern, because that's the one that I grew up with.
Absolutely.
Because I know very little of the Adam West show, because I used to watch it with my grandmother, but I haven't seen it in like years, so I wouldn't be able to add anything on that one.
It's hilarious. It's one of those. You just watch it for the experience. It's not necessarily like fantastic. Television, maybe by '60s standards, because it is actually. It's like I was saying. It's a reflection of the times, really. When you look at even the television show, you look at the television that was on at the time. Exactly what was being shown. It's like the original The Avengers, the British spy TV show, all the spy TV shows and all that. Charlie's Angels, Get Smart.
Mission Impossible.
It was exactly pretty much like those. But and then we have modern Batman. The '80s brings modern Batman, as we've said, with Year One and Frank Miller. And another one of the great DC stories, in my opinion, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
That was '84, I think.
Yes, so sometime around there. DC Year One actually was a reboot following Crisis on Infinite Earths, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
because they had to retell the new origin of the Batman.
Yeah,
So.
and Earth 2 Batman was gone. And it's like you mentioned, Nick. This is the first time where we see Gotham as this corrupt city, this dirty city.
Yeah, like it makes sense though because that like how Miller introduces the idea that the cops are crooked because if they were doing their job there wouldn't be a reason for a Batman to exist. So
True, and I think that
you know
definitely sums it up pretty well. It answers that whole question. It's like if the cops are there, why is he doing this? And it gives him an actual reason to be Batman in my mind for the first time in history.
hmm
And then other than just my parents are dead, everyone's dead. Alfred's alive, but the '80s is also important because you see Nightwing is. This is we see actually until I think it's Death in the Family, just how estranged Batman is from Dick Grayson at the time. He's very estranged from because Dick Grayson went through that teenage phase. I don't need anybody else. I don't need Batman, and Batman was like, fine, whatever. And then Jason Todd dies, and Batman goes into basically a depression, and that contributes a lot to the whole dark Batman thing. But moving forward, as much as we could talk about modern Batman too for ages, moving forward, I want to jump to a different topic, and that's Batman translating into other medias like animated shows. There's going to be that new Gotham TV show. Trailer just dropped for that. And of course, movies. It's the age-old debate. So, favorite movie Batman guys? We lost Josh. I'm trying to get a hold of him and see what's happening.
Yep.
But Zach, let's start with you. Favorite movie Batman?
Okay, if I had to pick one, I would probably go with probably Batman Begins. Not because I like Christian Bale or anything, but that's probably my favorite version of Batman.
Absolutely. That's a lot of people's favorite. Because I know Armin, for example, Armin doesn't see The Dark Knight as really like a Batman movie. I
don't consider it either.
He never elaborated on it. So Nick, elaborate pour moi.
Oh, well, I mean, I just because Batman Begins does feel more like a comic book movie. You know, they shot a lot of it on set and stuff, like how they built the Narrows and all that. Like it felt more like it was something out of a comic book. Even the villains and all that, And Batman actually he acted. They did take a lot from Year One. The whole bats flying in as backup and all that kind of stuff. Like those are iconic parts of the book, and the whole relationship with Jim Gordon too that they established.
Absolutely. That was.
So
it's really good, and I know Josh's answer to this, so I'm gonna fill it in here for him. He loves the original, like '89 or not? Is it '89? Michael Keaton.
Yeah,
Batman
'89.
Batman '89. I just have so much trouble remembering years. But you can tell it's '80s Batman just because of the way that Michael Keaton is dressed as Bruce Wayne, which is one of my biggest issues with that movie. Mainly is because I couldn't see Michael Keaton in the character, but he loves it. He eats it up. So right now he's gone. So we're gonna just trash it. But I don't know. I've got to go with The Dark Knight because that was one of the first movies I think that I actually went out to the store and bought myself. I didn't. I wasn't like we should get this movie. We should get that. Dark Knight was really. That sort of shows my age, but I hadn't bought movies up until that point. I wasn't. If I watched it in the theater, that's okay. If we buy it on DVD, that's fine. But Dark Knight, I knew I had to have, and it was fantastic to me. Even though it doesn't feel like comic book Batman. I think it's just I think it's the best quality film out of all of them in terms of that. That'd be tough to debate in my eyes. Just in terms of the performances you got, was that the first Academy Award ever won for like a comic book movie in terms of like one of the major ones?
Ledger's Joker got it. Yeah.
Yes, and
I did not know that.
It was supporting actor, I think, and we can talk for a while about whether that was mainly because he died. I like to think it was because he actually did a really good job and sold that character. Because you can get a trance watching that performance, but also of great importance to the character. and where a lot of us know him from, especially if we grew up in the '90s, like I did. Like I know Zach, you did as well, and Nick. You're ageless to me. I don't know when you grew up.
The
I know
90s.
the 1990s.
I was born in 1923.
You're the dude that scrolls down on those age check boxes. You scroll all the way down.
Yeah.
I love how
You're just
far,
like you're just like my brother.
I love how far back they can go because it's like, yes.
1901.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I was born in 1914, the start of the Great War. No,
Good lord.
animated series is the point that I'm getting at. Animated
Yeah.
series. This is
1992, Batman the Animated Series.
yes, Justice
Yes.
and then Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond.
Yeah,
Yes.
1999, they took a gamble and went with a teenage Batman this time, and it
Yes,
paid off well.
absolutely. And that's, I don't know. To me, I think a lot of people, it's hard to argue with the Batman animated series, Justice League Unlimited, and Bruce Wayne in general.
Mhm.
Batman Beyond might have had a bigger impact on my life than Justice League Unlimited by a little bit. It's close, but Batman Beyond is iconic to me. And I know Josh would say right now that he's waiting for Batman Beyond to end up in canon somehow, and I think he will eventually.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah,
but
we almost got a Batman Beyond movie at one point, right?
I think that was rumored. Do you have any deets on that you could share real quick?
Yeah, actually, I think Armin was the one that mentioned this, but sometime before the Nolan movies took off, they were planning a Dark Knight, a Batman Beyond movie, but Warner Brothers changed it and decided to go with Nolan.
Damn it, Nolan.
Mhm.
I mean, that led to some good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
But that would have been awesome to see, and I'd like
And
to see
DiCaprio was going to be Terry, I think.
Really? When was
Mhm.
this? Was this like 2004, 2003? Something like
Yeah.
that? Because I know Batman Begins was 05. If that was 03, I don't know. DiCaprio, well, he kind of fits. I don't know. I always got a whole Marlon Brando thing from Terry, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hmm.
He was
Yeah.
dead at that point, but
Yeah.
bring him back to life. Lazarus Pit.
Assuming anyone can find it.
Yes. Let's go to that hole in India. But I don't know. Its animated series have really played a big part in who the character is, and how we know him. And Kevin Conroy, that brings up the whole, who's Batman to you? I know Zach, you have an interesting opinion on this.
Yeah, it's definitely Kevin Conroy for me. He was the one I grew up with way before Christian Bale, or actually, I didn't even know Michael Keaton was Batman at this point because Kevin Conroy is the one I grew up with. Whenever I think of Batman, if I ever read a Batman comic, I pretty much read it in my mind as his voice. That is Batman for me.
I cannot blame you for that, because that is his voice is just so iconic, and it's so much better than, to me, than I'm Batman.
I have yet to meet somebody who says Kevin Conroy is not Batman.
It's actually, well, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think Kevin Conroy is Batman, but I think other than in terms of screen, I think he probably leads, because Christian Bale had some issues for me. Michael Keaton, like I said, and don't even get me started on Val Kilmer, George Clooney.
Oh God, don't even mention it. We will not name those movies.
Anybody else? I don't want to think about that at all. But I think we'll see. Affleck could be the guy. I'm excited for it. I want to see him. So with that, let's jump into the future of Batman. To me, or not to me, to everybody. What's the
Or did you want to go over the modern age Batman, like from 2000 onward? Like, they had Batman Hush, where Jim Lee came on and
True.
like
Let's
breathed
discuss
fresh
that.
air into
I
the character.
completely- I completely breezed over that. I apologize. I'm a little flustered. Josh is gone. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Train got him.
2002, Batman Hush drops. I mean, that's when Jim Lee debuted as the artist for Batman, and that's
Absolutely iconic.
yeah.
I've been dropping
I think-
that word so much.
I have to pick up that
it's
issue.
iconic. And he's probably the guy that a lot of people will associate with Batman. And
Yeah, he created a pretty definitive take on like all these characters now that we know, so.
Absolutely. Hush too. Hush is probably one of the, of course, among Bat fans and among comic book people in the know, people know Hush, but to comic book outsiders, a lot of people might not know the Hush story, and it's a great one. It's definitely one that if you're looking at Batman Through the Ages, that's when you got to pick up.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting too because like how the story is basically there's a new villain introduced in every issue that he has to pretty much fight.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
And I like that.
He even fights Superman. Like he beats up Superman.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
BRB dying. No, but Hush is it's fantastic. I could talk about that just the story alone. I will refrain. Hey Jude.
Yeah. And then shortly after we had All-Star Batman and Robin because Jim Lee still did that. That was 2005. So.
Oh boy, yeah, it's sort of one of those things where leading up to I guess so many of the DC did what Marvel's doing now with all the crossover events and all these crises that were happening like every day, pretty much every month there was a new crisis leading up to, of course, Final Crisis, Flashpoint, all that stuff. Batman was in the past for a while, chilling with cavemen. But that's a different story. That's very I guess you could say hotly debated in terms.
Well, All-Star Batman.
Yeah, the one where he ended up. I think it was at the end of Final Crisis where he ended up going back in time. The Omega beams didn't kill him; they teleported him.
Oh no, that's the Time and the Batman. I think that was Grant Morrison. But no, I'm talking about All-Star Batman and Robin, like Frank Miller, like Jim Lee.
Absolutely. Tell us a little more about that.
Well, it was 2005. That's when just DC tried to do their version of like the Ultimates, like how Marvel had them.
Yes.
And they had All-Star Superman, then All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, and like that was a really controversial one where he called himself like I'm the goddamn Batman and all that. Like that's where all that started.
I'm the goddamn Batman. And that it's that iconic line. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's become part of like the Batman vernacular. I mean, really,
Absolutely.
like it just shows like how much like all these different influences on the character. Like they're all part of canon now, really.
That's the line that you associate with Batman, pretty much. Is I'm the goddamn Batman. He's not wrong. He is the goddamn Batman. Yeah, I mean, even though those All-Star arcs, they existed outside of the official continuity, I think, if I remember correctly. Although it does, Frank Miller sort of has his own Dark Knight universe.
Yeah.
With the whole Dark Knight Returns, that's where that exists.
Uh-huh.
Arguably, though, like we were talking, that's another one like Killing Joke to me, where it exists outside the continuity, but it influences it in so many ways. Like it has changed the story completely. Anyways, let us jump into
modern day, like Scott Snyder, Court of Owls, like that.
Yesterday.
Kind of Batman.
Yes, going from 75 years through today, and actually something a lot of people might not know, since they did the whole 75th anniversary, they're doing. I mean, it's sort of like a year-long thing, but it actually started in May, so now we can start saying to me, it's like, hey, happy birthday, Batman. You've been around for 75 years. Hope you're cashing your Social Security checks. But News 52 has brought a lot of interesting stories too. I mean, the two most prominent to me right now are definitely Court of the Owls and Death of the Family. There's also a lot of interesting stuff going on like currently.
Like 0 Year, like that's what Snyder's writing.
Is that still going on?
Yeah, there's I think issue 31's coming and it ends 33, so it's a 12-issue arc.
It's been around as long as Superior Spider-Man.
I love Death of the Family, of course.
Yeah.
However, to me, Court of the Owls was fantastic. I love how they tied Nightwing's story in too, and they made it such a big part of. Dick Grayson was a huge part of that. But just in terms of, I feel like that was a fantastic start for the New 52, and that was exactly where they had to deliver was Batman.
Right.
If you get the Batman right, it's sort of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, and they sort of built the platform for who Batman is in this.
Yeah, like Scott Snyder was able to instead of rehashing another Joker story or another older villain, he was able to recreate a new villain like the Court of Owls. Like that was pretty awesome.
And it's already become iconic. I know a lot of people want those masks.
Their fan favorite writer and artist like Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, like they're a great team together. So
Greg Capullo's man.
Yeah.
But then there's, of course, Death of the Family, the most recent edition. Or not
Hmm.
most recent, I guess you could say, because 0 years going on right now. But Death of the Family,
Right.
uh, the most recent, at least, Joker, the big Joker one. Of course, it was a
Yeah.
play on Death in the Family. And that ended. The ending of that had a lot of implications for the Bat family and who Batman is in
Mhm.
general and what's going on.
Right.
But yeah, I guess that's an interesting new take on the Joker as well.
Yeah, where his face ripped off.
Yes, literally,
Yeah.
he looks more. His looks reflect his mental state, I guess. But
Yeah.
it, and it's interesting. Do you think we'll ever see that Joker in like a movie?
No.
No,
I don't know.
no.
I would hope so, but I'm not sure. I don't know. With everything going on with DC at the moment, I'm not sure that would even come to the screen.
Yeah, and we'll see what'll end up happening with that. But that brings us a good discussion here. Sorry for the little stutter there. That brings up a good topic. As I was trying to go to the future of Batman, and of course the big question on the future of Batman right now is Batfleck.
Mm.
What did you guys? I know, Nick. We've talked about it before. I'm sensing positive things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like Ben Affleck, I think when I first heard the news, I was taken back. I was just like, that's an interesting choice. Like, I didn't see that coming that was so out of left field. And it just smacked you across the face like a wet fish. But, when you think about it, when you sit down and think about it for a few days, you're like, that all makes sense. I mean, I could see him as Batman. Like, Bruce Wayne, he's definitely got that down. So, I mean...
I think I definitely he's the first to me. Like Bale kind of did the whole Bruce Wayne thing for me. I think he's the first guy where I could go, hey, Bruce Wayne. Like he looks the
Yeah.
part. Like if you put him in a suit, he looks like that kind of guy. But to
Mhm.
me, it didn't really mesh. I was kind of like Ben Affleck, and the first thing that comes to your mind is Geely, Daredevil,
Yeah.
all of that. But then I remember the first time it clicked for me was the time somebody photoshopped a mask on his face, and it looked exactly like, uh, the Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, now Arkham
Arkham
Knight,
Origins.
Arkham Origins Batman, all that stuff. It looked
Mhm.
exactly like that Batman. I was like, shit. And it forced me to sort of sit there and be like, okay, I was jumping to conclusions. I was being
Right.
hasty. I didn't really think about it. And sort of this is the part where I go, okay, look, if you're still listening to this, I applaud you. Um, this is where I eat crow. I chose it strategically at the end, so only the diehards will get to hear me, you know, fess up for my wrongness. I was hasty in making my rant about Jesse Eisenberg. I have since reconsidered my position. Some nice DC people came to talk. No, I've been thinking about it. I think Jesse Eisenberg's going to be good, but that's a
Yeah.
Superman discussion for another time. Um, Zach, what are your thoughts on Batfleck and more Batman versus Superman as a whole right now?
Yeah, when it comes to Ben Affleck, when I first heard about it last year, I was indifferent about it. All my friends were like, "Oh, he's gonna ruin Batman. Christian Bale is Batman." But I don't know. The Batman for me, like I said before, is Kevin Conroy. But Ben Affleck, I don't know. I'm indifferent about it. I never saw Daredevil, so I wouldn't know what anyone was talking about that. But I had heard of Argo and The Town, how they both got Oscars, or I think at least one of them got Oscars, and they were great movies. So when it comes to Ben Affleck as Batman, I would say I'm hoping for the best, but I'm a little indifferent about it. So yeah, I'm hoping it's good.
We definitely will see. I I'm not quite sure what he's going to bring to the table. I'm confident about it because his career it's really turned around if you looked at it. I mean, some would call it
Mhm.
meteoric.
Yeah, the
When you
last 10 years, pretty
when
much.
you consider where he started and all the crap that he went
Right.
through in the early 2000s.
Kind of like Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, Matthew McConaughey's career is peaking. I would say much more dramatic than Ben Affleck right now.
Mhm.
Coming out with because I mean I think he would have won the Academy Award for Best Actor even if it wasn't for Dallas Buyers Club because Mud was so good.
Right.
But Matthew McConaughey for Aquaman.
No.
You'll bring Armin back. Don't.
He'll listen to this. I'm coming back. He'll come to just get me. But I've got this picture in my head of Aquaman just swimming through the ocean, just like he's the whole New 52 thing. He summons this shark, this giant behemoth shark out of the water. He's all right, all right, all right. Justice
I can
League.
just imagine that in my head already.
It'd be fantastic. It's oh god, then you could get into all the Dallas Buyers Club quotes. But no,
I'll have to make a video out of that.
dude, all right, all right, all right. But no, it's I don't know. I'm pretty positive. I think just given how the New 52 has started, Batman's his comic book future is certainly in good hands. With I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder. I wasn't a fan of Man of Steel, but looking at I guess when you look at the cast that they've assembled for Batman vs Superman, Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Now
I love Jeremy Irons.
He's fantastic. That was probably because that came out at the same time. It was like Ben Affleck's going to be Batman and Jeremy Irons is going to be Alfred.
I think that was a few months after.
No, that was Jesse Eisenberg and Jeremy Irons that came out.
Yes, my bad. That's because I remember I was initially upset about one and happy about the other. And that was, Jeremy Irons. I was like, damn, he's a solid actor. I can't believe they got him to be the butler.
Just give him a mustache and he'll be good.
Pretty much. And it depends because it's like, do you think, damn, we've gone like an hour into this thing and we haven't even discussed the role of Alfred. But he, damn, Jeremy Irons. And that's, Alfred, to sum it up real quick, has either been, the Woodhouse type of character or, the badass. More recently, he's been the badass secret agent. Or not secret, the badass, former SAS.
That wasn't Beware of the Batman, wasn't it?
Yes, and I think it doesn't that has comic book origins too, like Earth 2.
Yeah, Batman Earth 1.
Earth 1,
like,
my bad.
Jeff Johns wrote that and
Jeff Johns
made him a lot younger.
Yeah.
He's like a former, SAS operative and stuff, so.
Alfred, I would say he's probably one of the more important people to Batman. I think he's more important than any of the Robins, just because he's always been there. But
Josh might disagree because he loves Tim Drake.
Fuck Tim Drake. Hi, Josh. No, I love the shit out of Dick Grayson though. But Alfred, I love the shit out of Alfred too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will see about that though. Jeremy Irons. So the future is in good hands, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
Ben
hoping
Affleck, he's a huge fan of Batman. Ben Affleck's a comic book fan, too. That's why he took Daredevil. Like, he told Kevin Smith, he's like, when he got the position for Daredevil, he's like, cool, Frank Miller wrote Daredevil, so that's probably the closest I'll ever get to playing Batman, because...
Yeah, now he got his wish.
Yeah.
So...
Go ahead.
I only have one qualm about it, though. Just don't do the Christian Bale voice, because I don't want him to hear that anymore.
It'd be interesting. I think they could do... It'd probably look really weird, and I wouldn't like it if they... Because, you got the Keaton voice, which is just where he lowered the pitch a little bit and was like, you sounded more serious, and then you got the Bale voice where he did the gruff thing. There's always the option of a voice changer. Like, he's like, I've got a voice changer in the suit. And then you could do something like piping in Kevin Conroy's voice. Or something like that. That would be interesting.
That would probably be good.
I mean, we've had like Lou Ferrigno voicing the Hulk now. I guess he's going to do that in Age of Ultron, but I think he did that previously.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was him in the first Avengers movie.
I don't even know if it was him. I might be wrong about that, but if it's my rationale is I never saw it, but I think if the news about Ferrigno voicing Hulk in Age of Ultron is as big as it is, and it is pretty big, then I don't think he did. I think he did it for Incredible Hulk, but I might be wrong. At this point, I'm not sure anybody's going to be watching, so my facts are safe, I think. But
we're all safe here.
Yes, we are. We can just make wild claims right now. But yeah, he voiced the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk, but he did not do it for Avengers.
Wait, that was him in Incredible Hulk?
Yes.
I did not know that. I thought it was the guy who was in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
God, I just clicked away from that. I shouldn't have clicked away. God damn it. Whatever. It's over. But yeah, we'll see. Batman. I'm still going to say it. I'm going to say it again to wrap up here. In my eyes, at least in modern times, is probably the most iconic character. He's the most iconic comic book character in the world to me. I know a lot of people, like Spider-Man. A lot of people like Superman, and they are. Spider-Man is getting bigger now. But in terms of just, I think, sheer scope and recognizability, I think you know who Batman is.
Yeah.
And I guess to close, I love to speak to that, and also to close, I want one of the funniest quotes in a Batman comic. I can't remember which one it was, but he's in Mexico or something like that for something, and he's in a Latin American country, and the guy's like, "Do you know what they call Batman down here?" And he's like, El Hombre Murcielago, which is literally the Batman, and they're like, "No, El Batman." And so he's a global icon, especially in his own comics. But anyway,
Yeah,
go
like
ahead.
just final thoughts here. Like, this is Batman year and all that. Like, DC's actually doing a lot of pretty cool promotional stuff like that. They launched Batman Eternal this year, so
Yeah,
that's like a
with all
weekly
the
series.
animated
and all that.
shorts.
Yeah, they came out with 2 animated shorts, and also they're doing a promotional thing on July 23rd, so you guys can mark your calendars for that. Like, they're gonna give away a reprint of Detective 27 and like some other cool stuff at like every comic store, basically.
I will mark
So
that. I didn't know
I'll have
that.
to check that out.
I'll mark
just
it right now.
throwing that ad out there for
There you go.
I don't know if people don't know about that, but yeah.
Go support
So,
Batman. But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's fantastic. Zach, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best at this point.
Yes, I think it's looking good. To close, we lost Josh. We weren't able to get Oscar, and we weren't able to get Antoine. This one was pretty unstructured, as you can see. We liked it to be a free discussion, but on such a big topic, I hope you can forgive how long it's gone. We got 75 years of history and meaning to condense, and
Yeah, like an hour. Come on.
yeah, pretty much 75 minutes. But anyways, I guess as the official last word, wrapping up, happy birthday, Batman. You're 75 this month, and it's been 75 good years. We've seen some.
And you're still young as ever.
Yeah, pretty much. It's how are you still like 30 something? But anyways, that's the magic of, I guess, maybe the Lazarus Pit. But anyways, that's what money does to you. You just rub it on your skin and you become younger. Joan
I'll
Rivers.
try that sometime.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Have a good one. If you're listening still, thank you for listening. I wish we could reward you somehow. Yeah, now you know that they're going to be giving out that reprint of Detective Comics 27, so go check that out. Nobody else will know if they stop listening. So, officially ending it now. Don't worry, I think Josh is okay. Oscar is probably fine. It's only like 5 in the morning there.
Josh probably survived the train.
I hope you're still watching. Even if you aren't, thank you for tuning in. Signing off, this is White Sheep.
This is Nick.
This is Zach.
And we will see you next time. We don't know what it's going to be, but we will see you then. All right.
All right.
We will return. Thank you. Yeah. Good night.
Later.
Good morning or good afternoon or whenever you're watching this. I'm terrible at ending this thing, so I'm just going to stop it.
Yeah.